All right. Hello there. For anybody who is coming into this, you may know that I've been away for a little bit, and I'll get more into the details of that fairly well, I guess, during the duration of this, and kind of let people know why I've disappeared. I didn't intend to, but why I've disappeared and kind of what to look forward to in the future, because I want to set the right expectations for the channel as well as for anybody who might have subscribed, and make sure that they feel comfortable with everything too. So, really quickly, I'm going to move us over to the game, which I believe should pop up just fine. You should still hear me, and you should hear little game music. Game music was a little loud for me. There we go. And I'll jump into playing this, but I'll also, like I said, I'll be describing some stuff and explaining some stuff when it comes to kind of why I've been away for a while. Let me get situated here. If I can get properly situated. One second there. There we go. That's a little bit better. Should be a little nicer. And it's certainly a little bit more comfortable for me. There we go. Reservoir Game says, "Yep, I hear you and the game music is fine." Well, thank you very much for letting me know. And thank you very much for showing up here. I wanted to go ahead and give some updates too. It's been a while since I guess people have seen me on the channel, and I guess it's been a week, which is fairly typical. But I had some circumstances happen. Nothing dramatic, but change of job and all of that kind of stuff occurred, and so schedule's gonna take some figuring out, getting everything situated. I'm gonna try and make sure that I'm still streaming no less than once a week. Of course, we're going through one of my favorite games ever. Actually, my favorite game ever. I shouldn't even say one of. This is my favorite game ever. And so anyway, that's kind of the big thing. The last week, I was very occupied with the race between the Thumb Brothers and Running Retro. If you didn't get a chance to catch that race, I was the announcer for it, and it was a lot of fun. And again, very appreciative to Running Retro and the Thumb Brothers for letting me be a part of that. I had a blast. I really had a lot of fun. And then on top of that, I was doing... Congrats on the new job. Thank you so very much. I'm happy about it. It's just different, than my previous one. And so just getting everything figured out right now is kind of the tricky piece. Yeah, so I was working with that, and then I also am working on another project with Ash of AR Video Games, who's been awesome, and I'm going to be working on some stuff with him in the near future. I don't want to divulge anything because that may be he may not want me to divulge anything, or he may want to divulge it himself, or he may want us to do it together, and I'd rather not do that without him. But we're working on something cool together, and I think it's awesome. I think he put some information out there, if I'm not mistaken, on Twitter, but I would like to review that to make sure that I don't, accidentally give more than he intended to be given out. So I'm doing that, and then on top of that, I've been just trying to work with, and it hasn't worked all the way through, but I've been trying to work with other people. I'm running in circles here. I apologize. I've been kind of running in circles with real life too, in terms of trying to help people who have been asking questions about setups and audio questions and stuff like that. So It's more about just getting... And I'm going to quiet those notifications. Those are work-related notifications, but they have nothing to do with me. So because they have nothing to do with me, I'm going to turn those off for just now. I'll turn them on later. So anyway, those are just a lot of the things that have been going on. There's nothing, no drama, no sad, no bad, nothing like that. It's just different. And so because it's different, I feel like it's worth telling everybody so that if something's going on and you subscribe to the channel thinking you were going to see me as frequently as before, and then all of a sudden now I'm only available, once a week or once every week and a half or something like that. I don't want anyone to be disappointed, or to be upset about it, I guess. I think that's I don't know. Some people definitely, want to know what they're in for, and I think that's perfectly okay. So. As far as the game goes, when we last left off, we had just finished this planet. So the objective, for anybody who isn't familiar or who hasn't watched the previous episodes, this is episode 5. Return of the Jedi is referring to me in this case. I am back. And in this game. But it's also our little... I don't know if he's a Jedi. He's probably more of a... He's not really affiliated with anyone at this point. So I'd say Sith, but Sith doesn't necessarily just mean dark. So like you actually have... You can be a dark side user and have nothing to do with the Sith. And coincidentally, you can also be a dark side user who isn't a bad guy. There's a extended lore story for anybody who is who also is new to maybe this side of me. I'm a tremendous Star Wars fan to the point of where you could call me a nerd. I love Star Wars stuff. I read the books. I read the comics. I haven't read every comic. I've read almost all of the books. And I've played just about every video game you could play on it, and so like there's going to be a lot of just random tidbits that'll pop up, and so it's one of the things that my friends do. I still don't want to go over there, and there's really no reason to, so I'm just not. I was thinking about it with those Michaels over there, and I don't want to fight them. Alright, where are we going? We're going to the Zerka dock, so we're headed the right direction. So yeah, that's, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. But anyway, yeah, you can be a dark side user, and you can use dark side powers and even be affiliated with the Sith and not be evil, ironically. There was a Sith named Vectivus, I believe. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, never mind. We're okay. I thought we were in trouble there for a second. Yeah, okay, fine, I'll take it. Thank you. I know what he's doing. That's fine. I think it's Darth Vectivus was his name. But anyway, he was a dark side user. He was basically a wealthy businessman who also was a Sith Lord. And he used the Force, and he used the dark side of the Force, and all that stuff. Did I just go backwards? Did that turn me around? Yep. And unlike other Sith, he didn't die in a blaze of glory or anything. He died, I think, of old age, with family and friends around him, and like he wasn't really an evil guy. He just had Force sensitivity and tended to use dark side abilities, and that was kind of the end of him. Which is kind of interesting, I think. I think that's a neat thing. And if you've ever played Jedi Academy, you'll probably... I think I grabbed everything out of this. Yep. The second one has a really nice feature, too, which tells you flat out, hey, yeah, tells you flat out. It's like, hey, you, already opened this stuff. But regrettably, they didn't integrate that until the second one. Probably from having played the first one. Okay, let me take a look at that datapad. I think it has to do with the Gina Heradian, but I don't remember. Nope. We had to keep Baka's blade. I should have looked through this earlier. Datapad, there it is. Yeah. Datapad contains a single short cryptic message. The Geno Heradians say to see Hulas on Manan, come alone or not at all. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Oh, that's right. Now we're going to have to fight Zerka. We technically did the light side thing, which is good, but I think we did it without getting too many light side points. We're still pretty dark side. Wookiees are typically the proxies for slaves. I don't know why I still have the green lightsaber, by the way. Let me grab that guy's, whatever he had. I think they're almost always made out to be slaves to corporations. Typically Zerka. Zerka's kind of the evil corporation. There's also like, I think there's also like Blast Tech and Aerotech. But I think Zerka's always the kind of constant bad guy. There we go. Okay, cool. I don't think we have a lot of that to do, like just a few of those on the way out. It just kind of is a reflection of our choices. And I'm kind of doing, I know that it's, typically it's a little difficult to do games like this on stream for some people. They prefer to avoid them altogether. What I've opted to do, and I think everybody seems to have been okay with so far, is kind of just give the synopsis of what's been said, or you know what's going on, without having everybody have to read everything. This one's mine, right? No, that's not mine. This one's... Wait, where's mine? Well, one of those is mine. Probably this one. Oh, we've got a lot more crystals, though, now. Let me look at this. We still don't have a color that I like, though. Alright, let's see. Rubat. Bond... Or... Sigil and... Okay. We'll do one sigil and one... Diamond. I don't remember having picked that one up. That's cool though. It'll actually add some stuff, and we'll focus on those later. Oh, I don't think you can upgrade. Also, side note, I don't think you. Hey, I'll just fix Karth's blaster, and Candra's is. I should have. I'll give that to Candra's. So his is. And then Zolbar, you're just out of luck. But I don't use Zolbar very often, so that's okay. All right. That's fine, and I don't guess we really use any of this. Not really. Nope. Yeah, that doesn't really... Okay, there we go. Cool. So, when we last left off on this, though, like I said, we liberated the Wookiees from... Oh, there's Juhani. We liberated the Wookiees basically from being enslaved by Zerka Corporation, which was cool. Zerka Corporation, of course, the camera feels a little wonky on here, which is weird. I should go ahead probably and get caught up. Can I get caught up on the ship real quick?
Yeah.
We'll just kind of go through this really quick.
Fair enough. You got the skills of an, but that doesn't mean that I'm... I don't know that you'll betray me.
Let's see.
Well, you can stop. No, I don't want to. Why is whether we don't have time?
Okay, so basically what we're doing is kind of catching... No, okay, that's fine.
You got it.
We're just catching up on conversations.
How can I help? No.
And what conversations do in this is really cool. Let's see, hold on. I'm just gonna be...
Please, I admit I find our fates. I saw your service.
Don't
worry.
mildly flirtatious, I guess.
Good.
Duralia, which is kind of weird because there's no indication that that was the case.
Yes. Well, you were honest, which is good. But I imagine you've had enough. We can speak again later.
Okay. And does she have anything else?
How can I help? I do. How did
There
you?
we go. We'll do this one. This is nice.
I'm a Jedi. I am. Our connection. A Padawan must. The fact that you were so strong in the Force and have had such relatively little.
This game definitely shows me the primordial elements that form the basis for Mass Effect. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This game, and to be fair, this game right here, like Mass Effect is definitely more realized in terms of scope, I think.
I don't think
But at the same time, I do feel like that this game had... I feel like this game did some stuff a little bit better, and then I feel like Mass Effect took the things that this game didn't do as well, and then just built on those. That's my personal opinion. I love Mass Effect. I actually have the I got the HD trilogy back when it came out, and I've been playing it. I have dropped though for some recently. In my own private time, I'm playing I don't know why, but I've been switching through games, and I don't normally do that, but I got the Ninja Gaiden HD trilogy, and I've been playing through Ninja Gaiden again, and then I've also been playing, I got the Batman Arkham trilogy, and I've been playing through that again. Batman's kind of got my interest the most right now in terms of new games that I'm not really playing on the channel, and that's just because I haven't played through it in so long, and it's such a good game. But anyway, sorry about that. Mass Effect is fantastic. I completely agree with you.
That's good to hear. Our destinies are.
I definitely see where you're... And, well, it's interesting, too.
I believe you truly. Your power.
Celestial Light says, Retro Room. Hey, Celestial, welcome in. I really appreciate you for coming in, stopping by. I explained earlier, I'm apologizing, but I think my streams are a little... I'm gonna try to do it once a week if at all possible, but circumstances have changed, and I've gotten a new job, and so my apologies if I seem a little bit more absent in terms of both my own stream and in everybody else's. A lot of times I'm lurking in between, time, but I didn't go away, and I'm not going away, and I hope I hope everybody's still, interested in maybe coming by and seeing me, or letting me drop in their streams, even better. Let me get to drop in their streams, as I can, understanding maybe that it might be a little bit more difficult for me. So I'm just kind of explaining that, but I hope that's okay. Resver Game says, I love Mass Effect up until the last 30 or 40 minutes of the third game. After that, the whole series was ruined for me. Yeah, the ending was tricky on that, but they did do some stuff. They did do some things to amend it, and I think that the amendments were at least a worthy effort. But I understand completely, especially with before they had actually come out with the amended end. I get that completely.
Wisdom to help you through the dark time. How can I help?
Okay.
Then I suggest we move on.
Okay, so the reason we're catching up on conversations with these is because each of these, every time you talk to these people, the more you get to know them, the more you get to unlock as you're going through the game. And each of these characters have side quests and side missions that won't, until you've had certain conversations, show themselves.
What is it you would like?
So, for example, in this case, we're just kind of...
Back behind end of, but we had hard.
Hold on one second.
It was very easy. Yes, when I saw it, they were quite from that moment. As soon as I
there we go.
But
Johanny, I don't remember what hers exactly was. Her side quest.
What is it you would like? I keep thinking that more time would do me. I think.
Okay, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember what her. But I'll keep an eye.
I do not come here begging for scraps from you. I will.
Oh, I didn't mean to hit. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit that button, Johanny.
What is it you would like?
I hit a button that made her mad, and sometimes it's really difficult though, because sometimes. Now, granted, if I go back and I look at that, it's probably going to be like I said something really angry at her.
In truth, I have lived.
But it is kind of difficult. Like, okay, that right there is a clearly I don't want to use that one. I don't know why they put the nice responses at number 1, and then they're like, oh, okay, halfway through. No, you're going to be a jerk if you hit select the first option.
Of course.
Okay, perfect. I don't remember what hers was. I remember what Karth's was. I know what Bastila's is. I know what... T3 really doesn't have anything because he didn't talk. Celestial says, I've never played most of the modern games TBH. That's fair. I love Uncharted. I really like the Uncharted games as well. I have a mix, so my favorites are definitely there we go. My favorites are definitely retro. I definitely prefer retro, and people classify retro in completely different ways. This is technically retro, I think. This game is what, 20 years old or 19 years old this year? So I think that this would classify it as somewhat retro. But I like the games I kind of grew up with too, like the Super Mario Brothers for the NES, of course. Castlevania is a huge one. I mean, there's a lot of those types of games that I go. Pitfall was my first like big. I'm having some trouble here with this camera, so let me see if I'm just. Is it my thumbstick or can I go to? Does it? It doesn't. It's not gonna. Okay. All right. I'm just having some trouble. It says, I've lost interest in modern games. Games as service is anti-consumer to me and not worth the hassle. Games as a service. Yeah, I agree with that. But there are games that are really well made, in my opinion, that are a lot of fun, I think. Resvergam says, I love the Uncharted trilogy. Drake rocks. Yes. Omega Ace Gaming says, morning all. Hey, Omega. Good morning. Oh, yeah, it is morning there. It's 11:18 there, I guess. It's afternoon here, but I wanted to stream and kind of explain why I've been invisible for a while and apologize for it as well. Celestial Light says, Prince of Persia starting from the Sands of Time is really good. Sands of Time is really good. I just really didn't like... I really loved Warrior Within and Two Thrones better because I didn't like having to, in the case of Xbox, hit the Y button for every kill to be permanent. That was my only big issue. Omega says, I've been summoned with the magic words, apparently. Well, I appreciate you for stopping in. I really do. Thank you so much. Sands of Time is why we got Assassin's Creed. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And then Omega, you said hi. I'm sorry, I said hi earlier too, but I didn't see that one. Hi there. The Arkham trilogy is phenomenal. Absolutely, the Arkham trilogy is super good. Okay, I'm not gonna really talk to Mission. I don't really need her. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of really good new... my problem with it is churn when it comes to new games. Warrior Within for the win. Absolutely. Especially with the Godsmack theme intro that they have in it. And I loved Warrior Within. Warrior Within is the most aggressive. I do think the Two Thrones is technically a little bit better. But that's also because of... with the Warrior Within, I don't want to spoil anything. I don't think I'm spoiling anything to say that it's got a very... If you pass... Yeah, exactly. If you pass the Warrior Within... without doing the special, I won't spoil what it is, getting the special item, you get the wrong ending. You get the Dahaka Wind ending. I believe it was the Dahaka. It's been a while since I haven't played that game in probably 10 years, almost. But yeah, you get the wrong ending. We are going to Manon. So, oh, thank you, Omega. I saw the of course, buddy. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That was such a cool song. It was. It's a really cool song. It's very nice. I liked the old Godsmack, honestly. The Ashes of the Wake era stuff. I thought that was really good. Sacrament. I think those were really good. Godsmack's really cool. Randy Blythe has a really unique voice, in my opinion. Especially even with the screaming and such. He's got a really good, unique voice. So, but I think me personally, I think technically. That was I delivered a pool table to Sully when I was a teenager. Nice. True, people need to inform themselves about that. I think I might have missed something. The pool table, or... I'm not sure which one that's in reference to, Celestial. I apologize. It's just me getting lost. It's not your fault. Beautiful, beautiful Manon. Auto City, which has my favorite overworld theme. And I've told this story before as to why I like this so much, this game, and also, for anybody who's listened to that story, it's not a story, obviously, that I want to necessarily dwell on, but at the same time, for anybody who has listened to that story, the Auto City theme is the song that I listen to the most, and it sticks with me the best. It's just so calming, and so I could listen on it. Yep, I could listen to it for hours. Is what I meant to say. Okay, Karth, you want to talk?
Yes. What's on your?
Yeah.
Oh, 5 years ago, it was completely.
Okay.
Our heroes had. It's not that. It's Malik.
So
and
the big thing
side.
is.
I know. It's just.
Okay. So the big thing with him is he doesn't trust anybody. Also, by the way, for Resvergam, since you said this was the basis of Mass Effect, both of the, if you are familiar with this, both of these obviously were written by the same guy, Drew Karpyshyn, I think his name is. He's also written several of the Mass Effect books, as well as he wrote the Darth Bane trilogy, and the Old Republic novels, most of the Old Republic novels, if not all the Old Republic novels, of which there are 4 in Star Wars. great writer. I really like him as an author. And then you have Raphael Sbarge, I think is how you say his last name, Sbarge. I think is how it's spelled, and he plays the voice of Karth, but he also played the voice of Cade Nalenko in
Yes, what's on your mind?
Mass Effect.
You got it.
This universe is far more mature and coherent than what Disney did to the property. I agree with that. Completely. To be fair, I want. There's not really any stipulation. I'm excited. Oh, I got to nerd out over something really cool. If you don't mind me doing that here in just a second, I got to nerd out over something. But no, I completely agree that I'm gonna take Bastila, and I really like what I have. Is that a Sentinel, a Consular, and a Guardian? Technically, Juhani's a better balance, but Jolie's just. I love Jolie. He's one of my favorite characters. Yes. No, I completely agree with you. I'm a huge fan of the now Legends canon, right? Of the Legends novels rather. And it's a little disappointing, in all honesty. It's more than a little disappointing to. I don't know. I've talked about this with other people.
You Republic, the senators.
Okay, that's fine. That's
I'm
fine.
warning you. Try it. You break that law. If you ever feel
Really quickly. So the way that this one, hold on, I gotta soothe the Republic soldiers'
Yeah.
hurt ego.
No, really. Is there anything I can?
Nope.
Of course. Oh, if you don't know where that is, go have a pleasant.
I know where it
stay.
is. This place is shaped pretty. I believe it's pretty intuitive. So on this planet, really quickly, this planet has. I'll talk to her in a minute. Well, no, I'll talk to her now. Golly.
How can I help? Yes, I did. You must prepare yourself. It's true that our mission was to cap. It was his design.
Okay, so let's.
As I said.
I don't necessarily. I don't want to shut her down, but at the same time, I don't need her to. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So on this real quick side note, I get so many side notes over side notes on this planet at this point in time, which used to be canon, and Disney is actually looking to recanonize a lot of this. In fact, the main bad guy of this, Darth Malak, and of course they talk about him a lot, Darth Revan. Those guys are canon now, which is awesome, I think. But at the same time, they're very slowly letting things kind of creep back into the canon. On this planet, I can later. There we go. I hear Favreau won the Civil War at Lucasfilm and will be attempting to undo the damage Kennedy did to Star Wars by adapting more of Legends material into canon. I love Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and yes, that is amazing. That's really cool at Disney. It is. It's really, really neat. It's super, super cool. I feel like really okay. Let me get on these. I get on so many topics. So I don't want to get too scatterbrained here, but Star Wars is literally one of my favorite things. It's yeah. So it's just one of those that I could talk about for hours. Yeah. Glad they are reintroducing the Star Wars canon. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Now, there's some stuff that'll still be contradictory now, but at the same time, I agree with you completely. So let me do this really quickly. No, that's wrong. I did it wrong. Oh, I messed up. What am I doing? What's going on here? There we go. Sorry, I had a little bit of behind the scenes here. I'm sending a quick thing there. Okay, cool. So for what we're looking at right now, we're on the planet Manon. We're on the little floating area of it called Auto City. Unlike our planet, which is 70% or so water, Manon is over 97% water, with little settlements here and there. In fact, Auto City may actually be, at this point in time, the only settlement. So that would make the planet 99% water. And it happens that underwater, this mineral, this chemical called KOTOR. Where is this? This is back to the... Yeah, this is back to the dock, I think. Okay, that's fine. I get it. Okay. Okay. That's fine. I just want to make sure that's the case. Resurrection says, I might be in the minority here, but I loved seeing Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano in the Mando. After episode 1, I was like, more of her, please. No, I think she was great. I think she did a great job. So anyway, Kolto grows underwater. Kolto is the predecessor to Bacta. Bacta is the stuff that goes in the tank that you see Luke Skywalker floating around in episode 5 after he has the issue with the Wampa. Bacta is a much more efficient version of Kolto. At this time, though, Kolto was a neutral resource, so the planet Manon stayed neutral, basically, and said that they were going to... I can't go until I pay this guy or do something that tricks him. So anyway, Sith and the Republic are both on this planet because it's neutral, and they're basically fighting each other. They're having to. No, okay, so now back to the other piece, the other topic here. I'm not going to pay the docking fee.
The Jedi Council wouldn't approve, but they always were a little stuck.
I don't want to pay 100 credits just to be here. I thought Ahsoka was really cool. I remember I went to the theater in 2008 to see the original Clone Wars movie, the animated one. And I wasn't remarkably happy or impressed with it. Just because they definitely tried at that time to focus more on the kid pieces part of it.
It was only a matter of time until we had the whole...
I know.
And I didn't like Ahsoka, and then after they started kind of getting into... I think it was more season 2. End of season 2, I kind of started thinking she was cool.
I want to stop Malak's the capacity for good.
I see you were quite adamant.
Yeah, high mold.
Okay. It was in theaters. Yeah. It was it came out in 2008, and it was in theaters, and I think I saw it twice. I went to theaters to see it twice. One time to watch it initially, and then the second time to say, was that as bad as I thought it was? And it was painfully bad. And
Jodie.
I stand by that. I stand by it's bad.
I didn't.
Why? What?
It's horrible.
Murder?
It's all a
Yeah,
mistake.
we'll go talk to him later.
Down, Allura.
Sundry's being held.
Don't worry, Allura.
Okay. So that's the Jolie Bindo side quest, which is basically go in here and talk to a soldier, and we have to play his attorney, and we'll do that later, though. We'll do that in a minute. But yeah, it came out in theaters, and it's pretty rough. If you're a Star Wars fan, I mean this is that's the courts. Okay, I don't need to do that yet. Then I went the wrong way. But yeah, anyway, it's honestly it's pretty rough. I wouldn't recommend it. Now the Clone Wars series, I would see. Is it me or was Rosario? Is it me or Rosario was in Clerks 2? I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe. I honestly am not positive. I'm not positive. She did a great job, though. I think she did a phenomenal job in the Mando. Okay.
I doubt the Republic.
Be careful here, kid.
I'll look into it. That's fine. Okay, we're just looking into some stuff. I used to watch the 3D animated series, the one after the cartoon, with my 5-year-old nephew. He watched it until he was 12. I miss great shows like that. Yeah, she was Dante's girlfriend in Clerks 2, and she was in Sin City. It's been a while since I've seen Sin City, so I believe it.
I am not for high.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, I'm not surprised.
Okay. Okay. Let's go. Oh, 1 second. Okay, we can play both sides. Because we're going to do that anyway. Okay, perfect. So that's what we needed to hear. Basically, one doesn't trust the Sith, one doesn't trust the Republic, and one of them is the one that doesn't trust the Sith is telling us that the children of the Selkath people are starting to randomly go missing, and he wants me to see if I can find out where they've gone. And that's what we needed to hear to go. Yeah, so the 3D animated series, The Clone Wars, which I think also came out starting in 2008, and it only just ended last year, by the way. For anybody who didn't get a chance to see it, it was 7 seasons long, and it ended last year, and it's actually pretty epic. Especially, I really start liking seasons 4, 5, 6, and 7. So, if you're... the first episode of the first one kind of set this kiddish tone, I think, again, which was Yoda's kind of lost, and he's like, everybody's special to me, and it's nice. It's very nice, and it's cool, but at the same time, it also was very much the rated G. And then we start getting into seasons 2, which are about the bounty hunters, the mercenaries, and all that. And then we start getting into seasons 3 and 4, where we start hearing about, much more gruesome and scary stuff with the Force and some other awesome characters, stuff like that. It's really, really neat. So I highly recommend it for anybody. Excuse me, for anybody who... For anybody who is for anybody who's interested in watching the Clone Wars animated series, yeah, I highly recommend it if you haven't already watched it. And if you're a fan of The Mandalorian, I know The Mandalorian's only 2 seasons, but if you Rosemary says, yeah, the later seasons got dark. We loved it. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There were episodes like Heroes on Both Sides, which I absolutely adored. I thought they were awesome. And it basically what it was is it was trying to show you that not everything was cut and dry. Like Count Dooku was that was the first, I think, episode where I was like, this is kind of neat.
How much for all this?
But yeah, so it was basically showing you like, oh, we don't think Count Dooku's evil. We think he's a political idealist. And, like, it's just such a cool way to look at it. Yep, Mando got me curious about Star Wars lore in general. Star Wars lore, I would argue Star Wars lore runs nowadays as deep as, maybe even deeper, but at least as deep as, like D&D lore, fantasy lore, right? Lord of the Rings lore, I think. And I've never seen Lord of the Rings, the movies, but the books... were good, and they definitely there are compendiums out there that go off of those as well, which I think is awesome. So, all right, I'm gonna have to go. I forgot I have to go be arbiter. I have to go and appoint myself as arbiter, so I need to go to the courts to do that. But in all honesty, in my opinion, I think a lot of the lore, especially Legends lore, just had some depth to it. Like, not only were there different characters and different motivations and such, but there was great character development and great development for the motivations that were going on. The Sith, like I said, Heroes on Both Sides still kind of maintains that, and that was, was that pre the buyout? I mean, that may have been pre the Disney buyout, that season. Clone Wars was made both before and after the Disney buyout, so that's just the KOTOR distribution. Okay. But yeah, there's a lot of great lore. But like seeing Sith Lords like Dooku, which I love Dooku, but seeing Sith Lords like him painted in the light of being, like I said, a political idealist versus and of course Ki-Adi-Mundi says that exact phrase in the beginning of episode 2. He's a political idealist, not a murderer. But he wasn't thinking with his head because, well, I don't know how they're built in the new one, but in the old lore, the head didn't hold the brain. The head held a heart, a second heart. Resurgam says, I'm dreading what Amazon is going to do to vandalize LOTR property. The Lord of the Rings films trilogy was brilliant, but that Hobbit trilogy was awful, especially because of the add-ons. I don't know. I haven't seen... I think I saw the first Hobbit movie. I think I saw that. And I say that because it seems like I sat down and watched it. But at the same time... I don't remember enough about it to say I did or didn't. And if I did, it would have been a long time ago. But I have the books. I find myself... I like to read more than I feel like I like to watch shows. But when it comes to... Oops, sorry about that. When it comes to Star Wars, there's a difference there. Well, it's not, I kind of like to do it in tandem.
I suppose your son reads.
So, I don't know. I think that's the case. But at the same time, it's one of those things where... I've got my fingers crossed with what Amazon is going to do. Yugoslav Video Game Nerd says, Retro Room Celestial Omega Rest. Hey, Yugoslav, I thank you so much for coming in, stopping by. I know I've been a little bit invisible. Things have kind of changed up, and I got super busy, and so I kind of have to change the way I'm doing things going forward. But I wanted to say thanks so much for stopping by. I've been coming into. Do I just? Thank you. But I have gotten to stop in. I do try to make a habit to stop in your guys' streams and at very least lurk. I like to show support. Oh, I get to nerd out. I got to nerd out for a second. Speaking of Star Wars, just for a second. So my phone, the phone that I normally use, this is such a cool thing. I didn't even know they did. And my wife's really sweet, and she let me do it anyway, so this is cool. But my phone's old. It's not super old. I wouldn't say it's not like a 10-year-old phone, but it's 5 or 6 years old. And from when it came out, and then of course for me it's 3 or 4 years old because I bought it secondhand. But they made in 2000 at the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020, into 2019, they made a Star Wars specific Galaxy Note S10 Plus phone with custom sounds and custom Star Wars branding all over it, and it came with a custom Kylo Ren leather case, which, by the way, for anybody of the sequel trilogy, I love Kylo Ren. I think Kylo Ren is what kept the sequel trilogy interesting. That's my personal opinion. But it came with Kylo Ren, like it has the First Order thing emblazoned on the back, the sounds, the messaging sounds, the ringtones are custom. They come with a bunch of HD wallpapers that are probably not custom. Those are probably easy to download, but it's preloaded. It comes with custom paint job, where the buttons and everything are accented in dark side red. Kind of when he does the, I can't remember what the technique is called, but when he welds his helmet back together, that's actually a technique in a Japanese technique, if I'm not mistaken, where they weld it back and the seams are visible. Comes with a custom Kylo leather case and custom colored Galaxy buds and all. I got this thing. I found it for a good deal, and I get to upgrade my phone. So now I get to be the ultimate Star Wars nerd by carrying a Star Wars branded phone with me. And I'm so unnecessarily happy and excited about that. I know that's the nerdiest thing ever. But at the same time, it's such a cool thing. I'm so excited about getting to take a look at that. So I'm gonna have a Kylo Ren phone. They didn't make it any other. I mean, granted, they did make. I wanted to do it for a while, but I just couldn't find them. They also, they made a Star Wars car, for goodness sakes, in 2016, I guess it would have been, or whenever Rogue One came out. They made the Nissan Rogue, which was a Star Wars branded car. And they made that in 2 versions, light side or dark side. I don't have either of those. The car I have I like the car I have, and it's got Darth Vader stuff in it. It's got Darth Vader floor mats and steering wheel cover, all the nerdy stuff you normally would expect. You wouldn't be able to tell on the outside. But yeah. A custom Kylo case, the alliteration. I guess it is. I didn't think about that. But yeah.
Go ahead, Ash. How would they know?
But it does. It comes with this cool custom Kylo, and I added cool to it. Yeah, see, there's more alliteration, but a cool custom Kylo case, for the, and it's like leather. It's so cool. Is there a Billy Murray Star Wars? It's Star Wars ringtone on it. I don't think so. I don't know yet. It hasn't come in yet. It's supposed to be here. I don't know when exactly it's going to be here, but I'd estimate it'll ship out probably tomorrow. I messed up. I got we call it tongue tangled. But yeah, I'm adding more alliteration. It's going to get difficult. I imagine it ships out tomorrow though, with today being a federal holiday. And then I'd imagine it's coming from Pennsylvania, I believe. I think if they do that optimized, I think that's 4 days. I think that's a 4-day. A curiously cool custom Kylo case. We just keep adding this sound over and over. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Okay, I gotta go and investigate real quick.
Very well. Once you've gotten enough evidence.
Okay, so in this case, what we're doing, just really quick side note, Jolie Bindo's buddies with this guy right here. This guy's a war veteran. I'm assuming that they fought in wars together. One is a Jedi, and one is just a soldier. But apparently what had happened in this is that there was a Sith affiliate. By the way, I should have clarified this ahead of time because I didn't think it was necessary. Really quickly, I know this dates me, but I remember when there was a disco Star Wars song they played at the roller rink. I don't know if that dates you because I do know that there are still, I don't know exactly where, but I know that there's still a roller rink around here that plays that. And my wife actually has that same disco Star Wars song on her phone. I believe she's got it as a part of our road trip playlist. So, I don't know if it dates you just because it's still so, Star Wars is still such a cultural phenomenon, even the disco aspects. I mean, the holiday special is probably the least relevant piece of Star Wars right now. And it's, by the way, still canon, anyway. I went the wrong way. They kept the holiday specials canon. Oh yeah, but anyway, I should clarify on this that the Sith are not... In the Star Wars movies, we all know the Sith is... LOL, yes. High five. We know the Sith is the people that have the red lightsabers, and they're the bad Force users. And that's, in the old canon, probably still it's still the new canon to an extent, but it's not perfectly so. They didn't establish the rule of two till Darth Bane. We know that in the...
Tyberg, glad to hear it. Hey, this stuff's
that guy just never leaves Tyvark alone, does he? Come on, Bastila. Okay, Bastila gets in the way a lot, by the way. That'll just happen. The rule of two. There we go. The rule of two is Darth Bane's handiwork. Darth Bane wouldn't be born until about 2,000 years after this stuff happens, I believe. And so because of that, the Sith were basically the adopted military terminology. So for basically that was just kind of adopted. Sith were actually a race and of people, and then that happened before... shoot. Here, I need to go into solo mode. You guys come in the lobby. We're in a hotel, by the way. You guys stay right there. Stay. Anyway. The rule of two didn't get established until about 2,000 years after this particular series of events. Darth Bane, I think, predates the Republic by about 1,500, 2,000 years, depending. The New Republic, rather. And the rule of two never made any sense in the presence of Dooku and Darth Maul in the prequels kinds of contradicts this. No, not at all. Not at all. So the rule of two... Now, I granted, you may not agree with the credo, but I can explain that from the novels and from the comics. So the rule of two, basically, the way that they say it is it's one to embody the power. It's called one to embody the power, one to crave it. So what happened is, in the day of Darth Bane has a trilogy. By the way, Drew Karpyshyn wrote it. There are 3 books in the Darth Bane trilogy, and they are amazing, in my opinion. All 3 of them are good. The first one, of course, I think they get slightly level off a little bit. I think the first one's my favorite, and the second one's still good, but not as good, and then the third one is, But, yet again, this is the tricky piece, and I apologize if you meant something else in this. I'm explaining my interpretation of it, so if I misunderstood, please let me know.
The Sith woman, Alasa, entered a room in the hotel.
So in the way the rule of two works basically is at the time. So after this right here, the Sith right now are an organization. They're a school of people just like the Jedi. The problem with it is with the school of people that are basically taught that the strongest one rules and the strongest one survives. You don't really have a lot of students and pupils willingly setting down and saying I'm not strong, because the school would kill or expel those people, right? Oh, now we're delving into deep lore. Well, I kind of. Not too. No, I won't go too deep, but
No, I don't think so.
not gonna do that. That's dirty.
What do you want? To know?
So anyway, they used to have these schools, these academies, just like the Jedi did, and the Jedi are basically taught. Didn't Count Dooku and Darth Maul both call Darth Sidious Master at the same time? No, not technically, not technically. And yet again, I'll explain kind of how things go here, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but so because you also have the Inquisitorius, but at the same time, that's not quite the same as I'll explain. So you have the Master and the Apprentice, right? The rule of two is one to embody the power, the other to crave it. The way that it was working is they had these academies of multiple different people at the time that were being taught, you have to be the top, you have to be the strongest, and if you're not the strongest, you have to be at least strong enough to not be the weakest and to be able to, basically be the second strongest. So you were striving at any given time, if you were part of that academy, to be a part of, and this is, by the way, this is 5,000 BBY, before the Battle of Yavin. This is 5,000 years plus before the Battle of Yavin, which is Episode 4. So, what happened is they kept killing each other and just kept killing each other. Well, eventually they became more political, and they became more kind of like, you would imagine Illuminati people becoming, they were more of a kind of a cult and less about being powerful. And so in that time, Darth Bane thought they had lost their way. I won't spoil what all happens, but something happens and wipes out a bunch of them. In fact, almost all of them. And Bane says, I'm going to rebuild it, but I'm not going to build an entire academy where we become politically the same people. I'm going to be the most powerful one. I'm going to train somebody up to be as powerful as me, and when they feel like they can overtake me, they're going to kill me. And I'm going to respect that, but I'm not going to let them kill me because I'm going to be the most powerful. So there's these two, and he takes on Darth Reign, I think is what she's called. And she's pretty awesome too. So now we fast forward, and that goes all the way down. That's the rule of two is established by Darth Bane, goes all the way down. So then we go to Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious has Darth Maul in Episode 1. Darth Maul gets killed at the end of Episode 1. Darth Sidious takes Count Dooku in. But Darth Maul is not dead. But Sidious doesn't really care. And in fact, Sidious, when looking in the Clone Wars, when Maul does get to speak with Sidious again, he tries to come back and be that Sith, and Sidious breaks him and says, no, you're not going to work for me as a Sith. You're going to work for me as a peon, as a pawn. You're not a Sith anymore. You're not on the level. It's basically kind of a turn, and that's why Maul, even though he had Force powers, kind of left the arena of Sith in this case and became a crime syndicate lord. And was never, nothing ever, he didn't get to teach other people after Savage Opress. And they, at the time also, a lot of the people that were doing the Force, for example, Dooku, who got Asajj Ventress, did not have Sidious's approval to keep Asajj Ventress. She was going to be a pet project for a means to the end. Dooku wanted to keep her. He and her would take Sidious out, and then Dooku would be the master, and Asajj Ventress would be the apprentice. That didn't work out. And then Asajj tried to do the same thing with Savage Opress. But Maul ended up taking Savage Opress, trying to do the same thing. So it was basically, the rule of two was in play all of that time. There was never any person that was considered the apprentice outside of the one that was the apprentice at that time, Maul. And then when Dooku was taken over, it was because of Maul being gone, and Dooku was the apprentice. And at that point, anything that happens outside of that, you don't get any more Sith teaching. And if you go out and you break outside of the rule, you're just killed. Other than that, they can still use you as a peon, basically. And so they do. Asajj gets used as a pawn. Maul gets used as a pawn. Savage obviously has what happen to him. A lot of it, though, is the subterfuge of other people. Like, for example, even and it's not canon anymore, but the Force Unleashed 1 and 2, Starkiller is not supposed to be... He's not supposed to be there. He's supposed to be... he's kind of Vader's pet project to... something that the Emperor wants to look at, but then when at the very end you can see he tries to kind of turn you and like, oh, we'll take the Emperor over and I'll rule and you can be the apprentice. And so like that's there's only one master and one apprentice at any given time, but because the Sith are also, not the most trustworthy of people, there's a lot of subterfuge and a lot of trying to train people up underneath the top guy. So the second guy's trying to train a third guy. so that they can both take out the first guy, and the second becomes the first, and the third becomes the second kind of thing. It's kind of a Russian nesting doll situation. But yeah, but as far as the rule of 2 being in effect, as far as for the purists there, especially those that established it, yeah, it stayed in effect until probably the Inquisitorius. And the previous Inquisitorius was like Jarek and that whole group, and that was kind of a crazy group. Those are, for reference, you can play the Jedi Outcast games prior to the first Jedi Outcast. I mean, the second Jedi Outcast game, and that'll show some of the Inquisitorius. And then, of course, the new Inquisitorius has the Grand Inquisitor, and of course the 7th sister, and the 2nd sister, and the 5th brother, and all of them. And they are not remarkably trained in their training as far as the dark side goes really doesn't go any further than where it went whenever they left the Jedi Order, because almost all of them in fact are Jedi. They leave the Jedi, so at that point they don't get trained anymore really. They're just kind of allowed to be working as soldiers with the skill level that they already had. There's no additional training. None of them at any point in time will ever be a threat to any of the Master Apprentice, so that's, But the rule of 2 isn't that there are only 2 people that use the Force and use the lightsaber at a time. It's that there is only one true heir to the Empire and one current leader of that Empire, and those both have to be Force-powered individuals. But it's like it's kind of a...
The Sith woman.
It's kind of
You
one of
can't
those
run good
things.
'cause Yeah, I'm pretty.
Okay, that's
what do
good.
You want to know?
So it's
There
son of a gun. I didn't mean to hit
doesn't
that
take a
again.
genius. There were only 2 others
That's what I
normally
wanted.
who
Okay.
don't let his the
So
others are
it's
regular. They
a
don't
bunch
know
of
anything about
that.
him
There's a
other
lot
than
of like
everything else growing
divergent.
up.
There's a lot of divergence from it in terms of experiments, in terms of people trying to cheat. But ultimately, it's. One second. Let's do that. Okay. All right, I'll do this real quick and go and ask the witnesses. Anyway, so yeah, that's a lot of the rule of 2 part. That's the big pieces of it, I guess. 100 credits just for coming in.
You with the cell cat? I told the damn.
But yeah, Sidious didn't really encourage having multiple apprentices in that case, and he didn't really want more than one at a time. And it's in fact why, because Dooku was, when you look at the end of Episode 3, or the beginning of Episode 3, Dooku's actually considered at that point to be one of the best, if not the best, swordsman in the galaxy. Anakin beats him kind of by fighting dirty and holding his hands in place while he chops them off. But Sidious was actually afraid of Dooku's skill with the blade.
Sunry, I only heard of once or twice in package.
So it's one of those.
Half the night with their damn antics usually.
You've been streaming all this time? I never got the notification beat back. I have been streaming, well, for a little bit, I guess. It's not been too terribly long. But welcome in, Zombie. It's very good to see you.
I'm not saying anything like that. And there isn't any rule against.
Let's see. Uh-oh. There we go.
Well.
I'll just do that to make it easy.
Well, what? But this time, no, I don't.
So, but yeah, that was kind of the case. Is there was never more than there were supposed to have been by the top guy. But that's why in Palpatine kind of stuck to this fairly strictly. It's why when Palpatine at the very beginning, when Palpatine sees he's tied up and he sees he sees Anakin and Dooku, he encourages Anakin to kill Dooku. It's not only a step in Anakin's turning, but it also eliminates the apprentice that he had, demonstrating the strength of Anakin, and then leaving that spot open basically for Anakin to take over as the next apprentice.
Seems so. But now that's all I'm going to.
Okay, cool. And now we'll go ahead and talk to Gloopor. Gloopor Gloopor's a little bit slow. I think he says that he's a little slow. Retro Room, I'm afraid I have to go. I have a prior commitment, but I'd love to chat with you sometime in the near future. Of course, just... I'm still available, obviously, to chat via the standard networks, too, so if it's hard to catch me on live, definitely feel free to reach out to me there, and I'm happy to set some time aside. Have a great rest of your stream. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Omega. Thanks so much for being here. Oh, you already told me that. I didn't hit the right one. Let's go ahead and force persuade. So that's why I use, yep. And you can tell because Dooku had an expression on his face saying, "What are you doing?" Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, Dooku's one of the coolest characters in my opinion too. One of the best sword fighters out there and one of the most wise in terms of Jedi. In fact, I would argue he's probably the least Sith with the exception of... Then he accepts his fate and gets decapitated. Yeah, that's true. I think he's probably the least Sith of anyone with the exception of Vectivus. Like I said, Darth Vectivus is probably the least Sith of anyone, but I would argue that he is the least Sith in that he did what he felt was necessary. He didn't get the Sith eyes, and there's all kinds of cool stuff that came in with that. Now, of course, this is the thing I like about the old canon that I don't really like about the new canon. But now in the old canon, it's gotten to be a little Harry Potter-ish, I think. And but I don't know a lot about Harry.
Jedi, I hear you are investigating the summary. This murder is much more complex. You can see the journey.
Okay, that's fine.
Dear. I'm saying they both, if you want to get to the bottom of this murder... No, of course not. You would have to heed my advice.
Okay,
Jedi.
well, thanks.
And you may yet
The
find
Sith version of Qui-Gon,
murder.
which makes sense. He's the Sith version of Qui-Gon, which makes sense, since Dooku. Yeah. Well, so in how do I say this? I think Dooku seemed more like a Grey Jedi. I agree, and Qui-Gon's much the same way. Dooku is... I feel like Dooku did the same thing that you guys have been hearing a bunch about Revan here, right? And so eventually you'll get to meet him, I'm sure. But at this point, we've only kind of heard the stories about Revan, right? And so Revan kind of had this mentality at the time. This sound like a history lesson. At this time, or time just before that, there was the Mandalorian Wars, which were going on between the Jedi and the Mandalorians. Mandalorians, by the way, pick fights just to show that they're the best of the best. That's all that they love to fight. The only more violent tribe of people, and in this case, it's even
Hey, this street is for Sith. You talk big, but remember what we...
Yeah, I don't care. Anyway, Mandalorians are they're decently, at this point in time, they're decently violent, and they're, I think this is the Sith embassy back here. It's Yordle's. I don't want to mess with him. I don't think I have access to the Sith embassy yet either. I don't think I get it. Nope.
I know you. You're the arbiter in the murder trial. Shouldn't you be preparing for... You can ask, but... I know he'd already...
Oh, he was already upset at me.
Is there anything... Who knows? Is there anything...
Okay, fine.
I haven't the faintest... Is there any...
Okay, well, that's fine.
Go. Stay. Doesn't matter to...
Okay. So anyway, in the old one, when you got a lightsaber crystal, you got a lightsaber crystal. And whatever color you got was the color you got. If you went into a cave and you pulled a purple crystal, you got a purple one. Now, the purple crystal in Mace Windu's was a hurricane crystal. It was a special type of crystal that he got, and he earned it in a special kind of way. It was kind of cool to hear that, because it was not just what happened. It was you could find an upgrade, and it was kind of an active piece and part. I'm not going to register for... I don't race swoop, by the way, outside of terrace, the required terrace. It's a good way to do it if you want more credits, but I'd rather just buy and sell stuff I find on the battlefield. So, but anyway, there's a lot of... Excuse me. There's a lot of, like, they've kind of brought what I would consider to be more of a Harry Potter aspect now. And what it is you find a crystal, and the crystal's basically blank. And then whatever force in you flows into the crystal and catalyzes has an aura, and that aura has a color, and that color is amplified through the crystal. In order to make a red crystal, you have to make the crystal bleed, which is to pour hatred and emotion into it. And we see, in the Darth Vader comics, we see Darth Vader actually do that, and it's kind of... Is that Hulas? It's just a shady Rodian. Where's Hulas? There's Hulas. Alright, that's fine. But in the old one, the red ones were just synthesized crystals. They were crystals that were... Instead of finding them naturally occurring, they were uniformly red because of their synthesis process, but because of that, they were also stronger and known potentially to break through other lightsaber blades. Slytherin crystal for the win. I don't know a ton about Harry Potter. I've never read the books, and I think I've watched up to the 5th movie. So I'm not a huge... I know what Slytherin is, and I know that they're green and silver. I had a buddy that got married, and he had a Harry Potter-themed wedding, and he required that in order for us to attend the wedding in color, we had to have the house colors, I guess. And I better keep going this way. We had to have the house colors on, and we had to do that by taking a test on a website, Pottermore, I think. And then we'd take the test, and whatever the house came back with would be what color we had to wear. I'd want a black and white crystal for dual wielding. I think that's all. I think it'd be awesome. Well, and we see now that black and white are actual colors in the scheme too, right? We've got the dark saber, and we've got Ahsoka's white crystal sabers, which are, by the way, black saber. We don't yet know how black crystals are made. But we do know that the white ones are made from a Jedi with a pure intention or heart, pouring kind emotions into an already damaged, bleeding crystal. We know that that's the case. I should go back. Or a purple one with a black core. Ooh, that would be really cool. Purple is... So if you're... My lightsaber is green because I'm a consular. Twirl it. But purple is definitely my color preference. It just so happens that... I haven't yet happened upon a purple crystal, which is a bit of a shame.
Coming to check in on an old man? Soon, old friend. We don't want to go to trial.
Something to represent being a gray Jedi. I think that would be cool. I don't think... I honestly don't think I would be... I don't know if gray Jedi would be the term. It was a really cool thing. I don't know if I'd be a gray Jedi. It's just such a difficult... I understand that I don't think things are black and white, but at the same time, gray Jedi also had a... They eventually got to the point where they were kind of a creed. Well, in the old one, they were kind of a creed, and I don't know if I'd agree with the creed that they were either. When Star Wars was in the cinemas, Luke and Obi-Wan had white lightsabers. They did. Yeah, that was because of the way that they had to take the... which, of course, they've now color-corrected them both to blue, but... that was because the hilt that was used was a Graflex camera flash. And then what they did is they put a pole in it with reflective tape, and then the cords ran down the sleeves of the people, and basically that tape would rotate really quickly, and the light, when it was picked up by the camera, would reflect back at several times the intensity to the camera's eye, and then you'd have that glowing effect. Now it's all done in post. You can literally do it in Photoshop, and it takes 5 seconds. Or Hit Films if you want to just take 2 seconds. Hit Films is great for lightsaber effects, and even the animation of it, it's got a smart animate tool. It's really cool. I'd love to do something with that eventually, but I just don't have I just haven't had the time. Let's go over the evidence.
It was going well. Maybe the Sith had found...
So now we know... So, by the way, we know that at this point Sunray is a Republic soldier. We know that his... the person that visited him at a hotel was a Sith woman and a Force user, Dark Jedi even. And we know that they met at a hotel, which seems a little unusual in this case because it seems like there was a pretty good age difference between the two of them as well. But we do find out that apparently it's speculated there might have been a romantic entanglement.
Obviously, the Sith plan. I hope you can see how the Sith. Anything else I can help you with? I want my Arbiter.
Let's see.
Go
Let's
ahead,
clear
ask.
some stuff up. So I gotta know if they were having an
We,
affair.
I don't. No.
Yep, he was
what
having
this
an
must look
affair.
Like? Yes. I know it was wrong, but I'm a weak man. Alasa was beautiful and young. How was I to resist her charms? But I didn't kill her. Please. I know I made a terrible mistake getting involved with Alasa, but I did it. But found out.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a dirty thing to do. I mean, he's married, he has a wife, but he's having an affair. So pretty messed up. I'm not gonna just let him fry because that doesn't do anybody any good at this point. But at the same time, you know, shame on you from my personal perspective. Shame. You should have. Yeah, I mean, your wife probably didn't know about this. Gotta clear up some more stuff.
Go ahead, Ash. A Rhodian? I didn't know there were any. Okay, so maybe there are a whole bunch of Rhodians on Manan. But what does that matter? The evidence of a Sith conspiracy. Go ahead.
I
Ash.
don't necessarily know that that's the case.
How would they know? I heard some of the witnesses.
I need to ask the
You
embassies.
should
That's
ask
what's gotta
Evan.
happen. But I did get at least enough of it cleared
Very
up, so that's
well.
good.
Once you've
Perfect.
got enough evidence to go to trial, just tell the warden we're ready.
I used a situation in which a Jedi and a Sith had a romance for my background in the Star Wars TTRPG I played in. That's pretty cool. That's pretty. Well, I think if you haven't played it, by the way, and I think it's free to play right now, at least up to a certain point. KOTOR, the old Star Wars: The Old Republic, which is I believe getting a really cool other expansion that's coming out very soon. We see. I guess we get to see a really cool. Shoot, I can't remember where I'm going. We get to see a really cool instance of something kind of like the mixing of those. But I do believe in the previous expansions, that's an option for you to romance someone of the opposite creed. You know, Jedi and a Sith, or Sith and a Jedi, depending. And I think that's a really cool. I think that's a really cool dynamic. I just think that's a cool dynamic because at the same time, like, I don't think that. Yet again, this is maybe the gray part, not the gray Jedi, but just the gray part of my mind here. I don't necessarily believe that Sith and Jedi creeds are so opposite that they have to be mutually exclusive. I don't think that that works. I think that one craving power and action and the other craving pacifism is still just a craving. It's not something that has to be done. So I think it's a cool dynamic. I had a former coworker that said they worked on those Avalon Hill TTRPG games. He said his team undid the midichlorians thing from the prequels by making them a pseudo-scientific explanation. That's pretty cool. Well, and midichlorians too. I mean, like, George Lucas, the sequel trilogy isn't great, no doubt. But George Lucas's ideas originally for the sequel trilogy. I had a Jedi Sith hybrid. I had one normal eye and a Sith. The Sith. That's really cool. That's actually really cool. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So the midichlorian piece of it was gonna be so much more heavily explored in George Lucas's one, and this is my opinion. So if you don't agree with it, then I can respect that. But this is a world already filled with science. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Everything we stand on is some form of science, right? We have these harvesting platforms which are made for pulling kolto up from here, and everything is in neon, and everything is electronic and metal and steel, and like there's exhaust vents, and so everything's very science and very industrial and very, all of that. And that's why I like the Force and Jedi and Sith is and not everybody having it, by the way. Not everybody being a Jedi or Sith. Like I know that episode 8 Rose is like, and then there's a random kid that pulls a broom to his hand. But it's like the Force is a thing that's around and a part of all people, but not everybody gets to use it like a Jedi does. That's just how it works. Midichlorians was what they used to try to explain to lay people about the Force because normal people couldn't grasp the spiritual aspects. I thought there was a really good line in episode 4 that summed it up, which is hokey religions and ancient blasters or ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid. I thought that was a really good summation of it. And I'm not saying it has to be religious, right? But I am saying it is nice to have this kind of, you can't explain it, this kind of not science piece. Like, for example, if you end up in a world of spiritual, spirituality, and you introduce machinery to a group, for example, let's assume there's a tribal group that's completely stuck out in the middle of nowhere and they don't have real great access to technology like most of us do. And then you give them a cell phone. That's such a cool thing to get to see, is their experience, because most of what they've done is natural and potentially spiritual. Now we're getting to see the technical aspect, and that's kind of a cool thing. On the opposite side of that, in a world that is absolutely filled to the brim with science, why would you not want, why would you want more science? God dang it, that guy just never stops by from Tyvark, but I keep going down here too. I gotta remember, I think the Republic Embassy is down, or not the embassy, but I think I can talk to the people that are over across from the hotel. I'm pretty sure of it, in fact. But yeah, I think that's the, to me, that's the big piece, is like there's this, I like this juxtaposition of what is prevalent versus what is inexplicable to the people that are, in that case. Agreed, Han's line and what is said in the Death Star about how Vader was the last of the dead religion sums it all up well. Yeah, exactly. The captain. Oh shoot, I can't think of his name, but yeah. Your faith in that ancient religion hasn't given you the hasn't given you. I can't remember the exact line verbatim, but it's, or given you the clairvoyance enough to, and he gets choked there, but I can't remember the middle there. It's something else. But yeah, I agree. The Force is essentially chi, or ki. Lucas borrowed from Akira Kurosawa? I didn't know that. I didn't realize that was the case. I said the name a little off, so I apologize. I am not a Japanese linguist, but I will get better at it. That it's not much of a leap. That he just based the Force on the Shinto concepts of ki. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, I would have liked the midichlorian approach if they were leaning that if they were learning that science could not explain the Force. Right, exactly. Well, and that's the thing. Like I said, right now I'm wearing a visor on my head. Geordie LaForge's, for any Trekkies, I'm wearing a similar visor on my head right there. Like, this place is to the brim with science. Jolie's got Neuralinks back there, right? The Thumb Brothers, Hidden Fortress is for sure an inspiration for Star Wars. Hey, Thumb, how you doing, bud? But it's just, everything is so science-based. And so I just feel like that it's... I don't know much about the facts of the I don't know, I just feel like it's nice to have that one thing that they can't get, that it doesn't work out. But Star Wars borrowed from the films, but did turn it into something of its own. Oh, absolutely. And I think Star Wars, in a lot of cases, has become a cultural icon, not because of its uniqueness, but because of the way that it combined things to create a better version of some of the things it set out to be. It's not better than all of the source material necessarily. Independently, those ideas are not done better, but cumulatively, those ideas are integrated better.
If you want to solve this mess, I would focus on. I regret I could not be a.
I'm having a little bit of trouble. I know that this one. So I know there's a lot of talking on this one, and I remember what I have to do, and I have to go back and forth. What I may do, though, I have been talking for a little bit here, and I've actually just been talking a lot of Star Wars. Let me take a peek. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself 6 more minutes and tidy up at a 1 hour. Kind of keep it a little short. Just because this was a little spur of the moment, and I'm not making a lot of progress. I'm having great conversation with you guys, but I'm not making a lot of progress because I had forgotten that I have to do the murder case in this. So I may cut it off here to just about an hour, if that's okay with everybody, and then go back and fortify my knowledge of what I need to do, and then make it a little bit more concise. Resurrectum says, yeah, when I saw the unfinished version of the Hidden Fortress, Slave and Monkey instead of droids, Kenshin Shadow Jedi, Gaijin Smuggler and his Swedish cohort, etc. My mind was blown. Yeah, fair enough. Hate to say this, but the 9 films as a whole combined are just average or mediocre even. If you add the sequel trilogy, I would agree with that. So if here's my opinion. If you give each one of them a score, and then you average that score out, all 9 of them, I would agree. If you subtract the sequel trilogy, I would heavily disagree. And this is the thing, I personally really love episodes 4, 5, and 6. I think episode 3 is great, and I do like episode 1 because I feel like that episode 1 is necessary. A lot of people use the red letter media to judge it, and I actually went on it was a radio station 10 years ago and had a 4-hour debate with a gentleman, which was awarded to me, thankfully. That the moderator of that debate was awarded to me, which was nice. But it's not, if it's your opinion you don't like it, that's fine. It was just, we were talking about the facts of the matter in this case. We weren't talking about whether he liked it or not. We were talking about whether it made sense or not. And a lot of people like to cite the red letter media, and they're like, aha, this is why it's so. And I'm like, yeah, that red letter media didn't really do their homework either, though, when you really look at it. And hi there, Thumb. Hello there. I've already asked him all this. Okay, let's go back.
Well, okay.
So that's my thing. Episode 1 helped establish the political climate. It kind of showed how everything was destabilized. I enjoy 4 through 6 and 1, 3. Yep, same. It's exact. 1, I think, I like Rogue One and I like Solo. I thought those were good, as well as, those are spinoffs. I get it, but I did, the thing I really liked about it was just, I love the original trilogy, didn't like the prequels, but I can see its merits, and despised Disney's trilogy. Yeah. So I think, here's the thing. 1 gave us some great characters. It gave us Darth Maul. It gave us Qui-Gon Jinn. And we also have the establishment of the political climate, because there's no way it would have gone from a republic to an empire just overnight. So we get to see the destabilization and kind of the genius of Sidious behind the scenes. Pod racing is pretty cool. Honestly, my biggest things are, like, it has the great fight. I honestly liked more of the politics, though. I liked listening to what they were having issue with when they were talking about Theed and when they were in Theed. I liked the idea of the Trade Federation using embargoes on specific political parties to force their agenda further, right? So if a separatist basically was in your pocket, then you had this embargo where you couldn't get food to your people that had forced you to sign, yet again, a treaty that was beneficial to the separatists. That's not uncommon from what we've seen happen in the past with corporations and people like the East India Trading Company. I mean, we've actually seen that happen in real life, not just in this fictitious world. So I thought it was really cool to see the politics. And I know a lot of people thought it was boring, and that's okay. I respect that completely, too. 2 was cobbled together, and I think 2 was thrown together because I think 1 they had plans for, and then I think those plans just got thrown out the window. Accidentally, but I think that's what happened. 3, I thought was amazing. Fantastic music. We see the turn. Yes, it's a kind of quick turn, but at the same time, it's for a reason that I would make that quick of a turn. If I had a thought that my wife was going to die in childbirth and that I had potentially the power to stop it, I would probably turn on a dime. And I'd probably do some things I would never have done just this second before to make sure she was safe. And if somebody basically said, well, no, I have the key, I tell you what, I can tell you how to save her, then yeah, I would probably, if I believed that person even a little bit, let alone if I had known him since I was a kid and trusted in him, I would probably drop whatever the heck I needed to drop. And can I get in here? Can I just go? Nope. I need to talk to the judge real quick then. But yeah, I would probably drop what I was doing and I would try and make sure she was safe. And that's one of those things where it's really tough to say. And now I'm not saying I would, burn a Jedi temple down. But at the same time, I would probably change a lot of behaviors in order to make sure she was safe if that was necessary. So while that's a little bit exacerbate, I think that would be something I would definitely see. I don't hold that against it. 4, 5, and 6 are awesome. That's just the classic awesome. 7, 8, and 9, however, don't make any sense. They don't make any sense in terms of consistency of power, Episode 7, we see someone who's never used a lightsaber face off against somebody who's presumably had between 10 and 15 years of training. We've seen another person that didn't use a lightsaber beat the person that had more than 10 or 15 years of training, both in the Force and with a lightsaber. We see, going by that same merit, in Episode 8, we see, that was part of Palpatine's genius, though Anakin should have been onto the notion that if he had kept his and Padme's marriage, let alone the pregnancy secret, how did Palpatine know? Well, and that's the thing is, I agree with that, but I also feel like that. I feel like part of it. Obviously, Palpatine was great in a Force user, but I don't feel like Anakin was the most discreet. And if you take a look, my reference to that would be one of the episodes in Season 7. There was there's a scene with Obi-Wan and Padme and Anakin, and Anakin's taking time. Rex knows about Padme and Anakin, and so they are talking, and Anakin's calling her via holovid, and he lies to Obi-Wan and tells him he's doing something completely different, and Anakin, and then after Anakin walks off, Obi-Wan says, well, did you at least tell Padme I said hi? So I don't feel like it was, I feel like part of that was like the genius, but I think that also part of that was just Anakin wasn't very good at keeping it a secret, honestly. He was good at keeping it a secret from the people that didn't really know him, but he talked to Palpatine and Obi-Wan and Rex every day, and these guys all knew, so. But I agree, though. I think it's pretty genius. I like Max Landis' suggestion for the prequels. Make it about Obi-Wan instead, with Anakin as a side character. I also wouldn't have revealed the twins at birth, especially not naming them. Yeah, I can see that, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, you already know they exist, so it's one of those things where it's like, the birth isn't really spoiling anything, but I do agree it was a little too rushed. I had high hopes Finn was going to be the hero, and that he was going to be the Force Awakened, because he saw the horror of being in the Empire, and was the horror of being in the Empire and defected. Yeah. No, I thought Finn was cool. I like Finn. I like Finn's character. I like Poe Dameron. Except for in Episode 8 where they treated him like utter garbage. I thought Poe Dameron was great. Rey bothers me, and here's why. She's not... By the way, Daisy Ridley, no problem. I think she's a great actor, and she did what she was supposed to do. But I feel like that she had no consistency of power. She randomly got better without any reason to be better. She was trained from somebody who had already lost his way, so there's no... You have Snoke, who is basically Palpatine training... Now that we have that. Snoke, who's Palpatine training Kylo. And then you have random jaded Jedi who's been away from the Order for at least a couple of years and has shut himself off from the Force, basically, teaching Rey. Rey also, by the way, has had no prior training. Luke in his prime was training Kylo. Snoke and Palpatine trained Kylo. That shouldn't even be a close race. Kylo versus Rey should be Kylo in the circumstances that they presented, should have been Kylo every time. But in Episode 8, all of a sudden, they're evenly matched enough to break metal, a lightsaber in half, which is ridiculous. And she's able to, without any effort, by the way. Episode 5, Luke is stacking 4 or 5 stones. Yeah, he's doing a handstand while he's doing it, but he's having trouble stacking 4 or 5 stones. By the way, being taught by the most powerful Jedi Master in the world. And yet she walks up and she's able to lift these salt rocks that are several times her own body weight to get them out of the cave, with very minimal training from a not in his prime, jaded Luke Skywalker. No, that doesn't make sense to me. Rey was an ideal... Oh, I'm sorry. I think I misinterpreted. Rey was an ideologically inserted propaganda character. Okay, I gotcha. I messed up on my my brain didn't want a sentence there, so I apologize for that. Rey was an ideologically inserted propaganda character. She was a Mary Sue, the archetype of a terrible writer. Well, but a lot of people hate that's the thing. A lot of people hated people saying that because it became a political thing. I don't care about politics. I just want good Star Wars, right? I care about politics, not in entertainment, right? This channel is not going to be political ever. it's entertainment. It's something fun. It's community. Movies, I feel like, unless they're specifically about that, I think that they should just be fun to have to watch. We worry so much about politics and bad stuff in our real lives. Like, just make movies fun. Just write them well and make them fun. That's all they're there for. They're not there to further agendas. They're just there to be fun. Then Finn starts becoming Force sensitive. I enjoyed his fight with Kylo because it also showed that someone Force sensitive could give in to the Sith. I thought that was cool. And I like his fight with Kylo, and I like the fact that he gets beaten. And I think that in Episode 8, if we would have seen him improve, I think that would have been awesome. I think that would have been cool. The way that he got beaten is what should have happened to Rey also. But it didn't. And even with an injured Kylo, right? The pain should have made him stronger, but it didn't do anything. That could have given him incentive to do what Luke does and seek guidance. Absolutely. Yeah, I love Finn. I really do. I like Finn's character a lot. And I like Poe a lot. And I'm sad that even in Episode 9, they didn't expand upon what... not until the book, they didn't expand upon what Finn really was wanting to go on. I just want to be entertained. Same situation. I'm not in it for the politics. Who goes into Star Wars? If you're in Star Wars, there's so much Star Wars. There's so many Star Wars politics that we don't need to insert our own. They've got their own. Their politics are so much worse. They've got literal slave planets. What is it? The Zygarians, I believe, in season 5 of the Clone Wars, are a literal slaver planet. We don't really have a whole planet of slavers. We're very lucky in that. So let's not insert our politics into theirs and vice versa. Let's just keep those segregate. Watch them deal with their political problems, and we can deal with ours in the right arena. That's my thing. Same with good Star Wars film not having politics shoved in. Sure, yeah, and yet again, like I said, politics aren't unimportant. It's just not. There's a time and a place. I have to get going. Great stream. See you all later. Well, thank you very much, Retrogram. I actually ran around. I'm going to cut it here just because I've had a great time talking with everybody, but at the same time, I am kind of running around in circles. I spent most of the time running around in circles here because I'd forgotten how involved the court case was. So I'm going to refresh myself. But I've had a great time, a blast, in fact, getting to talk with everybody, and I really appreciate you guys for being understanding. For anybody who didn't catch the very beginning, I want to let everybody know I'm going to try and stream once a week, if I can. I've had a change of job recently, and that's caused my schedule to clump up a little bit more than it normally would have. But I'm going to try to stay engaged as I can. I'm going to try and jump in streams, and sometimes it'll be lurking. Sometimes I'll try to be active. I want to be active as much as I can, so I appreciate you guys all for having me when that comes to it. But yeah, the new job just kind of is a little tricky. Yes, exactly. Finn still lost, but by using the Force, he was able to stand his ground. Not really win, but stand his ground. That was awesome to me, and that's where they should have went with it. Absolutely. I think that would have been awesome. Yeah, no. Rey had the answers to questions she shouldn't have even known the question, right? I mean, she runs into she's a scavenger, yes, but she sees the Millennium Falcon for that's a Corellian custom ship. It's had a lot of custom work done to it, right? Lando's added antenna. Then that antenna gets knocked off. Lando has an antenna on it. Then Han modifies it, and he adds an antenna. That antenna gets knocked off by Lando in Episode 6 during the end fight, and then that Lando adds another antenna. And there's a lot of custom work, right? Then you also have, now we know from Solo, we have a custom operating system inside of the Falcon, and we have it's just so many. Listening to Episode 5, Han, I've made a lot of special modifications myself. That ship should have literally been one of a kind. There should have been no reason that anybody shy of an actual engineer in their world should have been able to know anything about that ship. But for whatever reason, she was able to bypass the compressor and whatever. And anyway, there's a video on YouTube that shows her doing that and the ship blowing up, and I think that's about where it would have been. Han would have known that ship. He would have been like, "Hey, yeah, I've been with this ship for 20 years. That thing's never been here before. I'll take that off." But he didn't. He walks out, and she magically figures it out. I don't get it. But anyway, I want to go ahead and say thank you, everybody, for jumping in. I did kind of stream. It's kind of a little bit short, but I did jump in, and I kind of ran around a little bit in circles. I just kind of was having fun talking with everybody about Star Wars and kind of getting into things for the week. But at the same time, I don't want it to run around in circles, and you guys have to watch that for another hour. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to refresh on what exactly needs to happen with the court case. I remember what the outcome was. I just don't remember exactly where all I got that data So I'm going to go do that, and I'll come back and try and stream in the next week or so, and say hi again to you guys. And I want to say thank you to everybody: Zombie, Rez, Thumb, Omega Ace, Yugoslav, Celestial, all of you guys who jumped in. I want to say thank you so very much for jumping in. Anybody also who watches this after the fact, thank you so very much. I'm going to go ahead really quickly and hop us over to the stream ending, and I'm going to turn on some nice music. See if you guys can hear some cool music in here. Should be real quiet. Maybe not as quiet now. Hopefully it sounds good. All right. Yeah, but anyway, thank you guys so very much for being understanding on this. Had a blast here. Thank you so much, Zombie. I really appreciate you for stopping in. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I love talking Star Wars, and I'm super excited to get to do it again. But I really appreciate everybody also for being understanding about the kind of life-changing circumstance and all that. Everything's good. It's just busier. So I hope to be able to reach out and talk to you guys in your streams, comment on your videos, and then of course, like I said, I'll try to be up once a week, whether that be doing a game or a shuffle sesh, and getting everything put together. I do love doing the Star Wars stuff also, and of course, even if I'm not playing Star Wars, I'm always happy to talk it. So if you guys have any questions or like Rez had some questions, if you guys just want to add, like Zombie, you're very Star Wars knowledgeable. I just like talking Star Wars with you, so definitely feel free to stop in and do that anytime. But I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of quiet music, kind of nice music and soothing, and leading you guys into the latter part of the early afternoon of your Monday. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.